Good morning. We have made it in for a bright and early 8 a.m. start. It's actually bright out today. I love to see it. Think we've got a good lineup ready for today to go on.
I love the weather.
It's beautiful out, isn't it?
Yes.
I think it is. What do you say? As we're rolling in, getting adjusted, we go for an early ad break. We get that ad out of the way early today.
Yeah, we can do that. Let's go.
Let's do it.
In the demanding world of oil and gas, precision, safety, and efficiency are non-negotiable. Unmanned operator drone services revolutionizes how you monitor, inspect, and manage your operations. With cutting-edge technology and expert operators, we deliver real-time data, detailed reports, and actionable insights for our valuable clients. Why risk the safety of your team or waste precious time? Our drones access even the most challenging areas with ease, reducing downtime and enhancing safety across your sites. We take the guesswork out of your projects by offering LiDAR, mapping, and inspection services so that your projects stay safe, on budget, and on time. Unmanned operator drone services, where technology meets safety, precision, and efficiency. Contact us today to elevate your operations. Yes, pun intended.
Aha.
We're back. Ads out of the way. We're ready for a long one today.
You see why we had an ad break right away. We had our special guest come on today, Mr. Oley Larson.
Well, hi,
We are fantastic. Thanks for being with us this morning. We got a lot of fun stuff to cover going over the legislative cycle.
Sure.
Do you miss it?
You know, I miss the people. I miss the networking. I miss having my thumb on where all the money's going.
Yeah.
And that has been very, that was fun. That was really good.
Right.
The backroom stuff and I don't know what you would call it, the politics part of it was really frustrating. And,
right.
That's fair.
You know.
That makes sense.
Have you been paying attention to the cycle at all as it's been going on, or have you been trying to keep your hands off a little bit more?
I'm trying to keep my hands off most of it. You know, I hear a little bit of it on the news, and you know, I still I sell insurance now back at my old job, and I do diesel mechanic work for Dan Ruby with Circle Sanitation. I really enjoy that. Keeps me healthy, keeps me from getting too overweight and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
there you go, too complacent or anything.
I like to, you know, I think I'm more on the background part of it. I like helping candidates now. We had a big event this last fall. It was really a good time for District 40 and those guys.
That's right. Is that at your place?
38. Yeah. So that was really a good time. And then some of the initiated measures I've taken some parts in, and you know, help gather signatures and be part of that. So
okay. So let's jump into we're going to talk to you about like the process and stuff like that, but we'll fire away with an initiated measure off the bat and just go straight to property tax.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, Measure 4 failed on the ballot in November.
Horrible. Yeah.
It was horrible. Do you like the rebuttals to those that are coming up in the legislature, some of the bills that are?
Well, you know, I spent a lot of time in the legislature, and one person's idea to me is like a drop in the bucket.
Yep.
And it's hard to fill that bucket depending on what type of drop of water you are.
Yeah.
if you're a, you know, there's just a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
Right.
And you got to try to get everybody on board. And what I've noticed with our so-called property tax relief, and it's a shell game.
Right.
The Senate, the House, the legislature says we're going to give you a mill levy buy down. The perfect example is when we took over the 20 mills per county for human services.
Sure.
Okay.
Everybody's thinking, you know, 20 mills, that's a pretty healthy chunk.
Sure.
Okay, so we got rid of that. And I'm thinking, well, my property tax is going to go down.
Right.
Even if we didn't use the whole 20 mills, you know. No, it didn't go down one bit.
If anything, did it go up?
And because then what happens is the disingenuous local political subdivisions say, we want to keep everything local. We got to keep it local.
Yeah.
Well, the locals reassess your property, and your $80,000 trailer house is now $120,000.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just a shell game. And I know that I had a lot of heated discussion with the leadership.
I'm sure.
They would be very irritated when I would not be, I wouldn't say it in a back room closet. I would tell everybody, it's
Yeah.
a shell game. You guys are ripping us off.
Right.
And they didn't like that, you
Yeah.
know?
Well,
And so the same thing's going to happen. And I think Kelly Armstrong brought out some, property tax relief peanuts,
Yeah,
whether
yeah.
$1,500 or something.
right,
Yeah.
yeah. By the end of 10 years, supposedly we'll have the entire thing paid
Yeah.
for, but that's no guarantee.
It was dumb.
Yeah.
It's just what they're doing is they're wasting everybody's time.
Yeah.
Right.
You're just changing the buy down location from the general fund to the
Right.
legacy fund. That's all.
When I
really.
started in the legislature, we had a buy down, or we took care of education at 55%, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And when I left, it's 85. It was 85% when I left the legislature that we're funding education.
Mm-hmm.
My property tax isn't
Yeah.
now.
Not affected.
Right.
by
And then
that.
they look at your property tax bill. This is what the state did. Oh, you should be so happy that the
Yeah.
state put this number on this piece of paper
Right.
that you can't. It's not even comfortable paper to wipe your ass with. So they do that,
Yeah.
and look at how much we saved. And then your political subdivisions in the county and everybody, oh, let's just boost up their assessment value.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's dumb.
Right.
It's, it's just a Band-Aid for an actual issue that
Right.
they're just continuing to ignore at this
And
point.
one of the things that really irritates me about it, where I think, okay, we should have property tax elimination. We should have. Really, should we?
Okay.
Did you see how many people voted for property tax elimination?
Right.
What's the number that they voted?
Not enough. It was like
Not enough.
under 30% probably.
30% of the population.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people voted to smoke dope?
Yeah, it was close.
More than almost 45%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So more people want to smoke dope than eliminate property tax. So this whole cloud, this whole smoke screen down at the legislature about we're going to save your taxes, we're going to read it. Nobody cares because less than 30% of the population even voted for it. So who cares? They
Right.
don't care.
Do you feel like that less than 30% was a true representation? Because I know that a lot of people had problems with the bill, though they were still a fan of property tax relief.
But what does that matter when in the bill stated that it's the legislature's job to fix the problems that they had with the
Yeah.
initiated measure?
Right.
It was such a clean, easy piece of legislation that the citizens, if they would have voted that through,
Mm-hmm.
right now, I'm hearing that the city of Minot is down at the legislature wanting to have a bunch of money for their city hall or the police department or whatever.
Yep.
So the same stuff
Flood-
they
flood relief.
said,
Yep.
we're going to have to go to the legislature to beg for money. They're doing it anyway.
Already
So
doing it.
it's just a red herring.
Just a big cycle.
Yeah,
that's
it was
the-
just dumb. That's probably why, I needed to retire because
I
I
don't
was
know.
starting to get very verbal about stupid ideas
Sure.
and stupid things.
Sure.
Well, I think sometimes that's needed, though.
It is.
Well,
It's necessary to have that vocalization of some of those
Well,
things.
I was
at a
very
point.
vocal down there, that's for sure. And I enjoyed that part of it too,
Exactly. And looking at the bill, Measure 4 in depth, it's 36.5% said no, just about 63.5, or excuse
There
me,
you go.
36.5
So
said
36.
yes, 63.5% said no.
Yeah,
So yeah,
it's crazy.
yeah.
So
So why even
about a
have the
third.
conversation? So they're
Right.
doing it just for re-election purposes. And,
Oh, yeah, it's just-
I feel good because I pushed their stupid
Right.
piece of legislation that's never
well,
going to
what we've said on this podcast is that part of it is driven by Armstrong as a capstone in his career, because he comes right out of the gate with property tax, and then he gets his, and it's not the governor's bill, but
crap bill.
yeah, and over 10 years it's going to be whatever, and it's going to be said that on day one I fixed property tax.
Yeah.
That's kind of something that maybe he wouldn't like to hear that, but that's kind of how we kind of
That's
feel.
how we feel.
And
at
that might
this
be
point,
true.
yeah.
Kelly Armstrong really didn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, he's I
He is.
enjoyed him as a legislator. I worked side
Right.
by side him. He can
Love the guy.
talk. He's a, I mean, he is a
He loves North Dakota.
defense attorney. Yeah, he's a great guy. I think I find it totally disingenuous that he goes, I'm going to give you $1,500. What do you do with $1,500?
What's that do over the grand scheme of things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and I don't like when they were doing the $500 tax credits, and we talked about this too. Me, where my tax bill is under $2,000, and for random numbers, your tax bill's over $8,000. We both get $500.
Yeah,
That's fair.
Right. And then my property tax is reassessed again, $360 more going to the school district, so I only get $200.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Right, exactly.
So it's dumb, and that's exactly what's going to happen with when this $1,500 goes through and gets approved. The assessments of our property is going to go up again and suck that money right back to the.
Do you feel like the state should be paying for 100% of the school funding schools 100% per the Constitution? That's how
it's
some
in
people
the
feel.
Constitution that we're supposed to pay it. And what's interesting is there was a 9-page legislative council document that went out during this Measure 4.
Sure.
And they said it will work. We're not gonna sink the state. It's not gonna be doom and gloom. And boy, the legislative body all got access to that 9-page document.
Yeah.
Nobody said nothing about.
Didn't want to look at it.
Yeah, they didn't want to give it to their constituents. They didn't want to say we can get rid of the deal. And
It's crazy.
yeah, I really do. I don't think we should be paying hot meal programs or wherever that dumb idea is coming from.
Right. So that's something that comes up it almost every legislative cycle. It feels like there's a bill.
Well, it passed last legislative cycle.
Right. Yep. For school lunches, it passed for a portion, and then this time they were trying to get it fully, 100%. Why do you feel like that's not something that should be paid for out of the state?
Well, I think it just adds on to the pupil payment for each student.
I see.
And the thing that I was just talking to somebody about it yesterday about where the money should follow the student. We have to be way over $10,000 or $15,000 per student that we're educating a student. And then you look at the outcomes, we're in like the 45th percentile of, and I'm not keeping up with this stuff, but our kids they're not getting their bang for the buck.
Right.
Sure.
You know? And it bugs me that if I'm living in a town, I have to go to this school to take my kid. But I can go to any gas station in that town and fill up with gas.
Right. Yeah.
Why are we that is not, to me, that don't sit right. I should be able to take my kids to Surrey, to Nedros, to Minot, to South Prairie. I should be able to homeschool them. I should be able to do whatever I want with my kids.
Well, and it's interesting because like Minot Public School, they will not get a second hockey team. From my understanding, what I've seen is they won't get a second hockey team for North Hill High School. But it comes down to some of what you're talking about. If they begin to, because they have a very closed school district.
Yep.
So if they begin to accept other people, it really changes the dynamics of who's playing where. I think that plays into it personally. I think it really the sports part of it,
because that's when you get boosters involved.
plays a huge part into it. And
absolutely.
they don't want to split their hockey team. Even though my understanding, there's several kids that didn't even really have a chance to really try out. They may have tried out, but they really didn't have a chance to make the team.
And that's the way it was with basketball and all that other stuff too.
Right.
I can see that. I'm not really a sports guy, you know.
Yeah, right.
So I have a hard time when I see these buses going down the road that a person could really live in.
Big
you know?
charter buses.
They're
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, I have a hard time with that kind of stuff. And I played sports when I was in school, and I did the thing. But it's there's a different mentality about sports and how they should play in the school districts and stuff. Because when I did Skills USA as an instructor.
Okay.
Sure.
We never got the big charter bus to go down to Wahpeton to compete.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Right,
a little
right.
yellow cheese box bus,
Yeah,
and everybody shut up, sit in the back. You know,
Seniors in the back.
try not to get car sick. But then you see these hockey players and these
they got
other
the nice
people.
stuff.
And there's a difference there, but
Right. Yeah, that's fair. So Linda Lori Page says, "Good morning, gentlemen. My manufactured home valuation increased $15,000. These homes depreciate, so how can that be allowed?"
Yeah, that's the thing. That's where the evaluation process really needs to be fixed and changed.
I think if they just and there was so much. I was a part of it in 2012, I think, when Bob was in it. He was a great guy.
Yeah.
And he wasn't as eloquent as a speaker as Becker was.
Sure.
And he was the guy. If it could have been done, it would have been done this session or whatever. But they showed, and the money was there. I remember my first session when I was in there, I put in a bill to take over education. We have the school land trust where if you get a ticket from the highway patrol, the money goes into that.
Okay.
And there's other feeders of where money goes in besides just the oil and gas that goes in there.
Yeah.
That's like at $8 billion now.
Right.
What do we do with that money?
Yeah.
Well, we put Title V in it. They suck money out of it. Yeah, how much? Like 700,000 or something.
Gotcha.
Like
Nothing.
that,
It's
Yeah.
peanuts.
Right.
And at the time when I put the bill in, we could have owned all of the school, a clean slate. 800 million was it. It wasn't even $1 billion. And so now it's like that money's still churning up and growing and getting big. And
Right. And just sitting there. That's what happens with North Dakota money at this point.
Oh, exactly.
Just sits there. And who knows if that's the right thing or not. Kyler probably has a couple questions. I've been dominating the questions, but I want to ask one more. Term limits.
You beat me to it.
Oh, okay. Sorry. These were my two main ones I
You're
had.
good.
yeah, they're having a little stink about that now.
Yeah,
Again.
but
That
you
irritates me
avoided
as
it.
well.
You
I
have
avoided what?
term limits. You got up right before it. So you're ready to serve 8 years.
Technically.
Well,
What's your view on how this term limits? Is it a good thing?
I believe it's a good thing.
You do.
There's a lot of people that don't believe it's a good thing. And when I first got in, I campaigned against incumbent that was a well-entrenched, well-liked. He was a union guy. He was from Vrendrya Electric. He was
Long-standing.
He was long-standing. And 2 weeks before the election, I was 12 points under.
Oh, wow.
And the Republican Party wrote me off, and everybody said, forget it, you ain't doing it. And I said, I know I'm getting in. I don't know what you guys are, who you're listening to, but I wore out 2 pairs of tennis shoes, door to door. I even went to Bob's house. I said, hey, I'm going to be your new senator, man. What are you doing? Well, here's my brochure. This is what I'm about.
That's hilarious.
So I thought hard work and the people voting for you is the term limit. If they don't like you and you're not doing the deal, then you're out.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I believed that for a long time. And I think it was the second or third to the last session when I go into the golf tournaments and I'm going to the governor's mansion and they're the lobbyists are all over you and it messes with your mind a little, you get a little egotistical and maybe I'm a little better than what I think I am and
helps inflate
money pours in and you just call up and say, hey, and you got a whole list of people to send mail to and it makes it pretty hard to go door to door and get an incumbent knocked out of there.
Yeah.
And if you happen to be in good standing with the leadership, which I was, I was a constitutional conservative. I don't know if you guys followed my deal. I was on the Republican ticket, but I'm not sure I was really a Republican. I believed with the platform. But there was some stuff that the Republican Party does. What they're doing now, spending money like
1,000-some bills in legislation, and we're small government.
I stood up on the floor one time when we had this ridiculous budget bill, and that's what they do. They pile all this crap on the bill at the end, so you got to vote for it. And I said, they say we're spending money like drunken sailors, and I said that's mean to the drunken sailor. That's not right to the drunken sailor. We're spending money like heroin addicts in Hollywood because it's way more than just drinking booze down there. We're throwing money away. So I didn't like that, and the Republican Party and I disagree with a lot of the spending that's going on there. That the Commerce Department it's a big slush fund. If you have an idea and it's a great thing to do, let's have the Commerce Department
Well, they'll-
send it to them, and they'll
they'll
try to
bring-
get it up and going.
Okay.
And I said there was one, I called it the Shark Tank of North Dakota. It's a place where, and I don't kick it too bad because Dot's Pretzels was one of the first
Oh, wow.
people of it.
Interesting.
And she tried it, and
Great
we
success
gave her a little
story.
seed money. Sure enough, it took off. That was great.
Yeah.
So there are some things when they're vetted that it's good. But when you buy a $2 million dinosaur head or some stupid thing, and you find out that the senator, it's his friend, and how is that? It's starting to get sticky.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, they recently got audited because they have a $600K grant that went to somebody that wanted to create. It was open to people that wanted to create a movie for North Dakota, essentially.
Right.
And it was open for applications for under 3 days. And the person that received the grant is the same one that received it last time. So it felt like it was a public process that was just directing money.
Yeah. Kind of stuff that goes on. And that's part, when you were talking about what I missed, I don't miss that at all.
Yeah.
And when you shine a light on it,
Yep.
then you're the guy who
Okay.
isn't the team player. So then when you have an issue, it's like, no, we ain't going to do that.
So I believe that there's a bill that is along the lines of trying to audit the Commerce Department.
Yep.
Do you feel like those type of bills are effective, or audits are effective?
I think the audit is. The
Oh, really?
auditor's office, he
It-
can go in.
And it's an independent one. This one's independent. It'll actually be out of state.
Yep. Be a third party.
That's a good question because I really like that auditor that we have.
Yeah.
That is, he's
Gallion,
getting
right?
all kinds of heat.
Mhm.
So he's a good guy. I
Yeah.
mean,
Right.
when it's run right and done right, it works well.
Yeah.
But then when you're dumping money out to an independent, who's the independent agency? Who's
Right,
got the
I-
tentacles
Yeah.
connected to them?
Yep. That's fair. Is there a lobbyist in between or something?
Yep. Is there a middleman that connected everything at that stage? And
So do you feel like lobbyists and bureaucrats in Bismarck are going to kind of have greater influence with term limits because people will be there in there for less time?
I don't think so. And that's was we used to have the memorial every session when legislators pass away.
Sure.
And it's really a cool deal. I enjoyed that. You look at the tail of the tape, the largest percentage of them serve 1 term, 3 terms.
Okay.
3 terms,
is normally
once in a while, you'll get somebody like Karen Kresbaugh that's been there forever.
yeah.
And, I don't think so. I just,
Yeah.
There's a
Interesting.
couple of bills floating around right now too that are adjusting the term
I
limits.
know,
Yeah,
they
there's-
don't like that.
Yeah, there's one that would have it's a little lesser. It would just say that the term limit date starts in 2022, and then there is so if you were elected prior to 2022, everything gets
Some
reset.
holdouts still wanna do
so they
their
can
thing.
extend it through pretty much the rest of the
Yeah,
stick.
2 more years.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then there's a second one that's Senate concurrent resolution bill, and it is actually adjusting it pretty heavily. It's taking it so it's changing it from 2 terms to 3 terms, so they can serve a 12-year process.
Right.
And that would have to be voted on.
2/3 vote.
Yeah,
They need that
and
from
by the public.
bodies.
Yep.
Oh, and the public.
Yep, it would be on
Public
the,
ain't gonna roll with
Yeah.
that. There's too many words in it.
that one would be
Too-
on the ballot next fall.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. So do you think it should start on? So basically, do you think for the people like David Hogue, who is 6 years into term limits, basically, do you think he should be able to run for another 4 years or not, so that he would exceed the 8 years
Right.
and have the full 10?
I don't. I think the language in the
Original.
the people voted for it. That's what they want. And there's already a lot of influence anyway, with legislative council and with that entity that are guiding and pushing people. I hate to say that I think 3 terms would have been enough because, they probably should have did a 3-term deal.
Yeah, I agree.
But the president's only hooked up for 2
Two.
terms.
That's
and
fair.
We
Yeah.
should, I just,
That's interesting.
working with some of those people that have been there for, you go into the Capitol and you can see pictures of, they
Mhm.
take the portraits
Throughout
of
the
the
years,
legislative things.
yeah.
and you see that person that you've been sitting next to, and they're, holy mackerel, that's a while ago.
Yeah.
That is not okay.
Right.
And I've been in meetings where there's been legislators that go and there's a bunch of lobbyists. Who's taking me out to dinner today? They're that brazen about it.
Wow.
They're that brazen about it.
Wow.
Who's
Wow.
going to do that? And then another one. So I had a group of people that come up that wanted to make a pharmaceutical company here in North Dakota, by the intermodal.
Okay.
And they were taking, it was milk stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it was for building bones and all of that.
Calcium
and they
kind
made
of stuff.
pills, and they were working with the military and everything. Just some guys from Wisconsin.
Sure.
And they went to China, and they built a huge thing. I mean, it was the milk replacer in the country of China. So
Wow.
when you
Wow.
needed baby food, it was them.
Mm-hmm.
The one legislator in the guard, I have a plane to catch at 3 o'clock, and we ain't listening to nothing else.
Wow.
That's
All
when
right.
that's when the COVID, the scamdemic, gave the state $650 million. We left $53 million on the table for the next session to spend and blow.
However they want. Yeah.
These guys would have, for $1 million, just to give them $1 million, they would have set up a factory here by the intermodal, and they would have grossed $5 billion a year.
Wow.
That's
In
incredible.
hiring 3,300 employees,
Yeah.
Wow.
and they didn't give them time of day because I was
Behind
sitting
it.
in the bad part of the cat box.
Wow.
You know, I wasn't a team player. you
Sure,
know. It's like,
yeah.
oh, he's bringing this. He's bringing these guys here. Who are these guys?
Must because it's Oley, it must
Interesting.
not mean
Yeah.
anything. Yeah.
That's
Wow.
interesting. Yeah.
It just shows that some of those entrenched and ingrained people can
Yeah.
really take a hold
Yeah.
on things.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So another one is the Jamestown. They want an amusement park or something like that.
Okay.
So a couple of sessions back, it was like a little joke. I got to put this here. So they just tickled you with it. But he was a entrenched guy.
Yep.
Okay, whatever. Killed it. Next session, come back a little bit more stronger. We're going to do this. Here's an idea. Oh, yeah, get a little bit more votes. So now this session, I heard that they were doing it again at a big, I mean, this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a bill that is taken fruit? It's probably got killed again.
Right. Yeah.
I know I've heard it's talked about, but I don't know if it's
Yeah,
gotten
hasn't been.
gotten through.
So
the-
they're pushing
yeah.
a lame idea to throw a bunch of money at
Well, of course.
that shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
They should eliminate property tax.
Do something more effective for the people.
Yeah.
And one other thing that's kind of floating around right now too is they're talking about changing the legislative cycle to a yearly thing.
Yeah, that's not
Not a
that's
fan of
not
that?
good at all. That I never agreed with that.
Do you
80
believe?
days is enough. Our population doesn't warrant that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been around the country where I've talked to other legislators, and we have such a unique system. There are places, if you serve one term, one session in the state legislature,
Mm-hmm.
your whole health insurance is paid till you die.
Really?
And this person was only like 40 years old, and
Wow.
it was his first term, so he's done.
He's covered.
He's
yeah.
covered.
We got 20-year-olds in there.
Yeah, we do.
So we got a lot of that kind of stuff.
That's
you know?
crazy.
Yeah, and they have their own staffs, and
Yeah, that's
it's
the one
just
other thing.
bloated government.
Yeah.
Other than here, we can get enough.
So do you
The
think
more they're out, the more I was not down in Bismarck, the
Mm-hmm.
less damage I would do to citizens. I felt because everybody's got a stupid bill. They got to throw something in there. And what did we have this year?
There
They
was
said it was like over 1,100.
yeah,
bills
Yeah,
there
or
was, there was
right,
over.
for sure.
That's the thing. So
Well, and rhubarb is our state fruit now. Yeah.
I
Like,
heard
like
the Rock was the Knife River Flint. Now those are kind of fun, you
Yeah.
know, and it gets kids involved, and it breaks the monotony of the deal.
yeah.
But
when you have 50
it's
different,
pretty that bill. When I have a dumb idea and put it on paper, that's about $60,000
Wow.
just to get that,
Yeah.
Wow.
just to get it started. Now,
Wow.
if it goes and makes law, then it's
a whole different ball
then
game.
it's a
That's
lot more
crazy.
expensive.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So do you think the bigger problem is that everybody, not just everybody wants to have their own bill, but everyone wants to have 2, 3, 4 bills that they put forward? And do you think that should be consolidated a little bit better
No,
then?
I don't think so. I think
You think it's
I
okay?
tell you what, I remember going into the legislature at the beginning one time, and the guy goes to me, "Hey, you gonna have some bills?" "Yeah, I already got 11 of them lined up, as if they die or whatever." And And there was a lot of consternation about people, a constituent coming, I want this bill. It's a constituent's bill,
Sure.
you know, and it's stupid, you know. The one where
They're putting it forward.
they want a pink hunting vest, right? And they wanted women to hunt and all that. And they were some pretty heavy hitters that were behind that thing. And God darn if that thing wasn't going to pass.
Mm-hmm.
And then this colorblind hunter comes in and says, hey, you know, you can do whatever you want, but I'm colorblind, and I can distinguish and see what this orange vest is for.
Mm-hmm.
This pink thing, I don't really know what that
It blends in.
killed it right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But that could have passed.
That could have passed. That would have been crazy.
And that just shows the importance of getting people to testify
Right.
before and
Absolutely.
to actually tell stories that have
Yeah.
meaning. And
Yeah.
get
Yeah,
it-
the online and the IT part of the testifying, that works out great, and I like that. And
Right. Yeah. So another one, I think this one has failed, but it's something that we talked a little bit about on here, and that is changing of the primaries.
Sure.
And
I did hear about that.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Kevin Kramer, he's now in his big city, and I used to
recently fell.
go to church services with him Wednesdays. He's a great guy.
Mhm.
But he bypassed that whole process
Mm-hmm.
and didn't go to the primaries, just went to the general, and I don't know.
So do you
I think there's something to do with tradition,
Yeah.
you know?
Right. Because it feels like we're getting into a place where people are bypassing the district
Yeah.
endorsing conventions,
Yeah.
and they're going straight to the primary.
Yep.
And then if that doesn't work out for them,
Then
then
they
they
go on
may
to general.
they may
Yeah.
even try the general.
Yeah.
So
I think it's slidey. It's sticky. I don't like it.
should we get rid of primaries in North Dakota?
I don't think so. I think that allows the person. It's a little interesting.
Mhm.
It allows the person to get out there and get known,
Mhm.
and then have the opportunity to get elected. So then, if I can beat the incumbent out, because a lot of times the incumbents get lazy. They just throw
Yeah.
out a bunch of mail stuff. They don't go beat
And
on the door.
because they're the incumbent, they
and
get
then they
the.
say, well, yeah, then I'm going to run. Andy Maragos did that to me.
Okay.
Sure.
He ran against everybody and then ran as an independent, and you know, people seen through it, and you know, I had a relationship with my district, and I felt pretty confident with it. So, but it's there should be. I like that tradition. I like that where you go to
Yeah.
the primaries. Hey, I made it to the primaries. Now I concentrate on the Democrats or the independents.
Right. Yeah.
And what's happening is Dick Anderson, whatever his district is in,
Sure.
Okay.
this district hates him, right? So
Yeah.
they said, no, we ain't voting for you.
Yep.
So they kicked him out, and then he ran as an independent or whatever, and he
Yeah.
still got in because
District 6.
he's got the name.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everyone
recognition
knows
and
who he
stuff. He
is.
shouldn't have been able to do that.
Right.
He should have lost the primary. You go and you work your cows or do whatever you're doing and stop making a mess down in Bismarck.
Yeah.
Those are the people that term limits work the best for.
Right.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
I like him. He's a nice guy.
Yep.
But it means more to him to be in the legislature and that ego. And the other guy, John, I don't know what it is. It who's his running mate up in
Yeah.
rugby? He's
Yeah.
another
Oh,
guy.
gosh.
He's
Yeah.
in District 6.
He's been there so
yeah.
long.
Been there-
He's
yeah.
worthless.
And
He's
sure, okay.
he absolutely is not a Republican. He's he's-
Paul Thomas, Daniel Vollmer, and Dick Anderson are the current ones.
Then
So-
they must have split the district or something because
Yeah.
he's still down there. John
Gotcha.
Nelson.
John Nelson.
Nelson.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Fair.
Yeah.
He should
Yeah.
have been gone. He should have been gone before I even got in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then here's one other final thing on the whole primary thing. For better or for worse, however anyone might view his governorship, if those were out of place, Doug Burgum would likely never have been governor. It would have been Wayne Stenjum.
Right?
But is that a problem?
I don't know. I think that's up for anyone who is against Burgum
all
at
right,
that point.
So Kyle and I like to argue about this topic, okay? But you say that he likely would have never been. Are you saying that because he would have never ran, or because you don't think he could have gotten through the endorsing process?
I don't think, at least in 2016, I don't think he would have gotten through the Republican endorsing process.
Okay.
I think Wayne Stenjum was the anointed next in line at that point.
Yeah.
I remember when he pulled up in the parade behind us, and everybody loved him. You know, Doug's here,
Yeah.
great, and handing out his little cow vote for Doug or whatever. And
Yeah.
now that I've gotten to know him, I'm glad he's in DC instead of working next to me because he threw me under the bus.
Oh
But,
man.
I'm sure.
yeah, interesting individual. But
Yeah,
Fair.
right. Yeah, it seemed like it was a stepping stone for him. All right, very good. Is there any other bills or anything you want to go over?
I think we hit all the bills I had on here for it.
Okay. Then
Go ahead.
or go ahead.
I was going to say, heading into crossover, is there anything big to expect in the second half from the legislative cycle? Anything that you would be expecting to do coming back from crossover?
Sure. This is what I think was interesting about the crossover part.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you weed out a lot of that bad stuff.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
In
you weed it
theory,
out.
yeah.
But now what they've learned to do, and I can't remember who the representative or the lady was. It was a gal over in the House.
Sure.
All her crap that got killed, she kept it in a little file. And then as soon as crossover come and something, it wasn't even germane to the bill. It was something come in and the door was open. Hey, I want to put this amendment on.
Oh, wow.
So the crap's going to come back.
Okay.
If there's enough of the
Interesting.
Desire to have it there.
entrenchment.
Okay, sure.
You know,
Wow.
if an assistant majority leader
Yep.
or a majority leader decides, hey, you know, I want that back in there.
Yeah. Then
They'll
it'll
come
be
back
back.
in a fury, and then they'll stick it on as an amendment to a bill, and they're supposed to be the same. But
Okay.
that's what happened last year, is they started
Allowing
on the
these
budget bill. They
amendments.
just threw everything on it and didn't even. The budget bill is supposed to deal with money, and here we're talking about a flea beetle.
Yeah.
that's gonna-
Just
Yeah.
having that
yeah.
omnibus
So they
and
got
everything.
caught doing it, but they'll do that again.
Right.
Sure.
Interesting. That's something to look for sure.
Just to
Yeah,
see
Those
what
are
else is
amendments.
passed on
yeah.
and-
Yeah.
Yep, the sneaky amendments. And then, of course, at the end of the budget, when they got to find out, like, the intermodal was another issue, right? We started out with $20 million,
Yeah.
and then we find out it's a Ponzi scheme to pay back the bank's bad debt.
Okay.
And have whittled it down to that was one of the reasons why I left too, because
Okay.
that was my bill, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I fought hard for that, and I'm thinking I bring a checker set to a chess game.
Yeah.
20 million, everybody likes the bill.
It's good,
Why
right?
is everybody liking the bill? And then somebody goes, they're liking it because Hovind and the Bank of Kenmare and all these guys want their damn money, their bad debt paid off with it.
Gotcha.
You're getting whispers to like
man.
it.
So then I then in the hallways going around, will you support my bill, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it got whittled down to 2 million, which it's still, I mean, it's doing a great thing for
Sure.
mine. The only downfall with that intermodal is it's only grain, because the entity that's their specialty.
Okay.
So if they could get funding and insurance on their own, you know, however, so that they could bring real products.
Yeah.
If the intermodal could bring Amazon stuff
Right.
instead of trucking it in it doesn't come through the intermodal.
Sure.
Okay.
But if that came through the intermodal, holy mackerel, it would open up. You can ship anything out of there. You just
Okay.
can't bring anything in.
I see.
All
Yeah.
right.
That'd be interesting.
Because there's a big tire warehouse by Surrey,
Okay.
and it gives tires to everybody in this area. That's
Wow.
where you go. Harry's gets it from there. The Cola
That's the
Fluid,
distributor
everybody
for
gets it.
Sure.
They have to drive a truck to Grand Forks or
I see.
wherever to pick up the tires
Wow.
and out of the container.
Yeah.
And the container could come here, right across the street.
Yeah.
But
Right.
they can't
Yeah, 'cause they're-
insure the tires if somebody steals the tires,
'Cause
so they
Okay.
can't unload it.
Because they're right across the street from
They're
the Yale
literally
Road.
right
yeah,
across the
yeah,
street.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot of that
Things that
would
can be
work
done.
out nice,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. The things that need to be thought about
Undoubtedly.
more.
Any opinion on Governor Armstrong's first 2 months in office, or too early to tell so far?
No, I like him. He's a good guy. He'll do right by North Dakota. I really do. I think, like you said, he likes North Dakota.
Yeah.
He's got North Dakota at heart. He's one of the, inner circle things. And I remember we were at a meeting one time, and where the caucus meets and stuff,
Sure.
and everybody was singing his praises and goes, yeah, he's a great guy. He comes in and he's got a brown bag full of money, and puts it on the table and everything's cool, which I'm sure he did. Because he knows a lot of people, and
Yeah,
there's
it's one of
people
those
who want to
things.
give to and I don't have a problem with people giving to whatever they want to give to. That's fine,
Yep.
But when I left the legislature, one of my thoughts was to be an ambassador, and there was 18, at the time there were 18 positions open.
Sure.
And so I thought, well, that'd be cool. So I call Hoven's office, and I don't think I called Kramer's, but Hoven's, and yeah, it's great. We'll look into it. That sounds great. And so I'm looking at it, and I'm going, wow, this might be something.
It might happen.
Call back again, how's that going? Well, we noticed that you're not donating enough money or whatever.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, are you kidding me?
It's
If
a
I said,
dollar
well, how
fee.
much is it? How much would it be? Is it like 50,000, 25,000? Well, it might be a little more than that,
Wow.
I had the assumption that for $1 million I could have that job.
Wow.
Yeah, and
That's
was
quite the
really,
investment.
Yeah, that's
I'm glad you served, and I'm getting all this,
the
Yeah.
whole
back
run
stuff, and
around.
I just
Yeah.
want to work hard. I
Right.
thought that'd be a good step.
Yeah.
So all of
That's
those
crazy.
people that are ambassadors and stuff,
They're
you
rich.
look at how much. Well, they might not be rich, but look at how much they're donating to the party that puts them in that seat.
Right.
And that's the guideline. One of the major guidelines of what it takes to get there.
That's-
Because it wasn't my
wow.
hard work. I worked my ass off.
For sure.
Right. Yeah.
The legislator. And I
That's
thought,
It's
crazy.
all about the dollar figures that were donated. Wow.
So one of the things, and this is as we come to a close, obviously to the outsider, we get to see or to the public, we get to see what our view of the legislature is like. But what is it like being in that room when you get to stand up on the floor and you get to make your
I loved
opinion?
Did you?
I
Yeah.
loved it. I really did. It is something that everybody, if they have an inkling to try to do it. I never was in politics. I taught school. I minded my own business. The Lord literally tapped me and said, you need to go down there and do that.
Okay.
It changed my life.
Yeah.
Some good, some bad. I'd have been retired from teaching. I would have been.
Okay.
All
now
done
I'm
with
still
that.
working.
Yeah.
Because I had to quit doing that. But it was great, and anybody can do it. There's people that I used to run into and say, "No, I could never do that." You can do it.
Wow.
I knew in my mind that I would be the senator for District 3.
Okay.
I just prior to running, and when I went to meet the District 3 people, I said, "I'm going to have that seat. I know I will be in that seat." And I just, if you set your sights to it, it can be done.
It can happen.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I love that.
Yeah. I love that too. Well, exciting. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Term limits is going to knock
Nice.
some people out here soon. Is there any
Yeah.
chance that Oley's going to throw his hat back in the ring?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Unless the Lord tells me to.
Yeah.
The Lord told me to get into politics, and I remember Him telling me, "Get out. You
Yeah.
need to
It's
be
time.
Right.
Because it does some things to you. You have to be a very strong
Right.
moral person to survive it. I feel.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No,
Some
I'm
people
sure.
Think, well, it ain't that big a deal, but it was a big deal to me.
Yeah. Very good.
I love
Well, appreciate you coming on today. It's been a good conversation.
All right, thanks for
Undoubtedly.
having me.
Absolutely. To our viewers, thanks for watching this episode. We'll be back Tuesday, 1
it.
p.m.
At one.
Sounds like a plan.
I look forward to it.
We actually have a couple of special one-on-ones that'll be coming out too. So
Uh-oh.
be on the lookout for
Be
those.
ready.
All right. Thanks for watching today's episode. Have a great day.